Really? Good. Good. Okay, so good morning, everybody. I know I'm capturing your screens, and in front of me, I just started the little video. When John has captured the video, he uploads them to YouTube. So if there's some demonstrations that you wanted, because I think you asked Tom or Sam asked to upload the Chapter 3 demonstration, it's on the home page right here in front of you. If you look up here, this was the course introduction video, and I think it also talked about your grades, and it also talked about uploading PDF files, which I'm going to launch Acrobat as I'm talking to you, which reminds me of another thing. And then over here for chapter 3, I uploaded the demonstration on the chapter 3 work that we did in class. So you can refer back to it. It's kind of hard to slog through because it's 45 minutes of me talking. But you can move the slider bar to get more, to get further along in the lecture. So what I want to talk about, now, before I forget and move into the lectures, is a lot of you have done your 5 assignments for Chapter 2 and you don't know how to take those individual PDF files you've saved and exported and combine them into one single PDF file. Correct? I think I've had some questions for that. So if you have Acrobat Professional, it comes with Adobe Creative Suite, and obviously it's on all the computers here at school. You launch Acrobat Professional, different than Reader. Reader won't do this. And when you launch Acrobat Professional, you'll have a pull-down menu which will say File Create. And in the File Create, you can look at the screen and immediately see how to combine files into a single PDF file. And from here, you get this dialog box and you click on Add Files. And then locate on your computer where those 5 chapter files are that have been saved as a PDF. Don't use an InDesign document. Make sure you've exported it as a PDF. And then you can just take the PDF file, add it, locate your second one to add, click Add. I'm just adding random things, obviously, here. Here's a second one. I'm going to add it. Go to add another file, add it here. And now I've got all my 5 documents. I'm only going to need to do 3. You can rearrange them by moving them up like that or moving them down like that. And then it combines your files. You click Combine Files. And it creates a file called Binder. Please don't submit something called Binder 1. And what it did is, notice it took all the PDF pages and it combined them. So I have a total now of 24 pages. You're not obviously going to have that many. You might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that's how you combine all your chapter work into one. And then don't submit it as Binder, like I said. Rename it. Save it as a PDF. And then call it, for example, Chapter 3 with your name. Oh, sorry. You're criticizing my typing there. Okay, there we go. And that's how you would save it. And be sure to upload your assignments to Moodle. I have a lot of students who did not submit the first assignment for Chapter 1. And that's truly, if you gave me type and drew boxes or graphics or transparencies or color, or showed me that you learned how to use color, learned how to use type, and learned how to create shapes, you did fine on that assignment. If you didn't submit it, you lost really 100 points on a really easy submission. The only work that will be accepted is work that's uploaded into Moodle. Is there anybody who's still confused about how to upload to Moodle? Okay, how you upload to Moodle is this. You go to the assignment link. You click on Assignment. You find the chapter work that you're going to do, for example, Chapter 3. And you scroll down here to where it says Submission. Do you use Facebook, Westerly? Have you ever uploaded a file to Moodle before? Okay, well, so then watch real carefully. Okay, let's slow it down. Home page for the class, right? You're familiar with a home page. You click Assignments. Takes you to all the assignments listed for the class and all the deadlines. If you miss the deadline you see in front of you, the window closes, you lose the opportunity to have graded work and you'll get a 0. So you need to submit your work before the deadline window closes. You can submit it from home because Moodle's always available to you. You also want to make sure that your submission is complete. So then you click on the assignment window you want. You read the instructions here. Bless you.
No.
You read the instructions here thoroughly. No, you don't read instructions? Well, if you don't read instructions, then you won't notice that it says, please submit assignments 3A, 3C, and 3E. If you've done all 5 of the assignments or all 6 of the assignments, that's fabulous. If you haven't done them all, make sure that you submit those 3. Okay? And yes, read instructions.
If we do them all, do you?
I
still
want
see
all of them.
Okay.
If you do them all, I want them all. It tells me entirely the amount of work that you're putting into the class, the amount of effort you're putting into the class. If I don't have these 3, but you have all the others, you'd get a 0 for sure, even if you submitted other ones.
Okay.
You need to have these 3 to get 100% out of it. Okay, so in order to create, how to create a PDF file, first off, upload your single multiple page PDF file below. If you don't remember what I'm demonstrated, you click on how to create a PDF file. If you read it, it tells you what to do. It's show and tell. There's pictures for you on how to do it. I'm very visual. If you don't remember how to create a multiple PDF, you go right here, create a PDF file. Okay? Everybody sees that? It's available for you even if I'm not around. And how to submit it, you go down to where it says submission, and then you browse to locate the file you're going to submit. You click browse, and it takes you to your computer. So you have to know where you saved the file you want to upload. And let's say, for example, it's here in the TORF folder, and I want to upload this file right here. I locate the file, so you need to know how you navigate your computer. If I don't know if I wanted to upload the one I saved and I don't know how to do that, I could also click on my desktop anywhere. And that puts me into something called Finder. And I can hit Command F for Find and locate anything that has my name on it, since I put my name on it. And I hit a return, and we'll put it on this Mac. And here it'll show me the last open file right there, which was the one I just saved because it's the date last open. And if I don't know where to locate it, I put it in the Artwork and Resources folder. It shows me that at the bottom. That's like your little breadcrumb path. It's on this computer, it's in the work folder, it's in the folder called Artwork and Resources, and it's called that. So now, to submit my file, I browse. I go to the work folder, I go to Chapter 3 Artwork and Resources, and I locate the PDF file, because now I know how to locate it. And I open it, and because it's there, it doesn't mean it's uploaded. I have to click Upload the file. And now I wait, and this thing is spinning up at the top, and you don't close your computer while it's spinning, because it won't upload. The only time I know that this is fully uploaded is when I see it sitting right here with an X next to it. So we're just going to wait, and you're going to see it's not immediate. Okay, so now my screen changed, so I'm assuming it's there. So now I can check it's there. If I ever needed to download it, I could click on it, and I'm done. Now I know I've uploaded it properly. Okay, any questions about that? About a multiple page PDF file? Okay, any questions about uploading to Moodle? Any questions about deadlines? Okay, that's awesome. Beautiful. Okay, then what I would like to talk about today is some of this lecture information here, which is about computer applications and file formats. But I'll wake you up a little with my silly little video, which is the graphic design gangsta, okay? And mostly what he's fun with, he's kind of fun because of his terminology. It's kind of a hoot.
Yeah. What up, Winston? Yeah. Press check. Keep those guys locked. Coming to you from the south with the mother current skills. Take a look inside my mouth and even let her press my grill. Publisher on speed dial, Sackmeister's my man. I got lots gone, done time with Paul Graham. Wearing black on black, designer rims from my eyes. Yo, my clients call me Scoop, cause my concepts is so high. Don't use Photoshop filters, let's flare some frames. Holla back at K-Dubs, #1 design gangsta. What? Gotta keep commands down, and my fingers is my tools. Never use commands, because I don't make mistakes, fool. Mechanicals are special, lock them up in face. And you know my work is clean, because I'm using white space. AIGA, print power graffiti. I'm the best in show. When I enter my piece, I'll pass on swipe, because wax stock is for pranksters. No DG, original design gangster. ODG. You know my rules are long, and my type is strong. Spinning hot concepts till the break of dawn. MPC and me, I'm so design gangsta. Yeah, PMS 187 runs deep in my veins. Metallic 86, 43 in my gold chain. I'm a classic fun hustler, up in the disease. Trade Gothic, got Futura up my sleeve. Search station, K2K in my veins. Players that news today, always giving the ring. I'm a brick hand man, not a design prankster. Multi-page layouts for true design gangsters. Yeah, multi-page. And my messaging bag hangs low. And my coupe is riding high at 24. On the weekend I was spending that dough. At the North Cackalack at the stove. Got the ram for the ladies in my G5 tower. When it comes to low, those homies call me Jack Bauer. Cause I kill 'em with one clip of the mouth. King Dubs, #1 design gangsta in the house. 1, 2, yeah, press check it. You know my rulers are long and my type is strong. Spinning hot concepts till the break of dawn. Just my NPC and me. I'm so design gangsta. Yeah, CFYK. Keep those guys on, son. No widows, you heard?
So for some of you, that seemed a little obscure. By the end of the semester, every terminology that he rapped to is going to be very familiar to you, and you'll even see the humor a little more. But there's a lot in our lectures here, and I want to start with the simpler lectures today to try and give you a little bit more lab time if we can, and then I'm going to go to printing technologies on Wednesday. So let's just talk very simply about InDesign and why the heck you're using InDesign. So, Sunny, if I can use you as an example, forgive me, okay? You don't mind, right?
Oh, no.
You're good-natured,
My whole
okay.
life.
What's that?
My whole life.
Your whole life, okay, you're the guy. All right, so Sunny didn't have InDesign at home, so he decided that he was going to do Chapter 1 assignment with Photoshop. And almost finished, right? And I would say that's really cool that you wanted to do your homework and accomplish it, and I appreciate that. And then I'd say, but you need to do it in InDesign. So let's talk about the different softwares if you're not familiar with Adobe softwares. And let's start with the M word, right? Let's start with Microsoft first, which is not Adobe, obviously. And Microsoft Office is fabulous when it comes to word processing, and it's great for Excel. And the wonderful thing about Microsoft is, for a lot of Office applications, when you do work for people, they might type an entire document in Word, and you'll have to bring it, in order to publish it, you'll end up bringing it into InDesign. Or, for example, if you're creating an annual report or you're doing statistical information, you can take Excel files, and you'll learn how to take Excel files and bring them into InDesign and create charts out of them. So InDesign is designed to receive these Microsoft files and allow you to create beautiful type and graphics to work with them. So InDesign isn't necessarily considered a word processing software, but I will tell you that I would much prefer, probably because I know it, backwards and forwards, but I much prefer working in InDesign for working with text. It has, I would think, as much power as Microsoft Office does. So Microsoft Office and Word obviously is for word processing. InDesign is a page layout program. So as you've already seen, you take type and you take graphics and you combine them using InDesign. InDesign allows you to manipulate type in every imaginable way, truly. The only thing you wouldn't be doing with type in InDesign is if you're wanting to add funky filters to them or distort your type or do weird artistic, artsy kinds of things to it. InDesign is not the place to do it. Then you would choose Illustrator or Photoshop. And Photoshop, who's worked in Photoshop before? Okay, about half of you. So Photoshop works with pixels, and it's a photographic image editing program. And my recommendation is, unless you need one word of type in Photoshop, like something that you want to manipulate type and put a photograph in the type or create weird effects to the type, Photoshop is a photographic or image editing software. Don't set type in it. That's not what it's designed for. It's designed for manipulating continuous tone images. And if you want to illustrate something, chances are you probably are going to be using Illustrator for it. When you create a Photoshop document, you can only create it at one size, and then you can't enlarge it without losing quality. But in Illustrator, you can create an illustration any size in Illustrator and enlarge it or reduce it, and your quality is always right on target. For illustrations, well, in InDesign, if you place text and you want to proportionally increase your text in InDesign and you've used a font, yes, you won't lose integrity of your file because it is. Yes, correct. Images. If you increased an image that you placed in an InDesign document, these are really good questions, Ryan. If you placed an image in InDesign and you enlarged it bigger than it started, larger than 100%, you would lose integrity. Exactly. It would all pixelate. Exactly. So Photoshop is image editing software, and Illustrator is for illustrations. And personally, I'm a purist about it all. I just stay with those if that's what your intention is. And then, of course, Adobe makes Dreamweaver for doing web design. And there's new softwares opening up all the time, as a matter of fact. And new software is even coming out of Adobe, but these are really the basics that we're going to be working with in the class. Are there any questions about the softwares? That wasn't new information for most of you, was it? No. Yeah, Westerly.
If you want to take a small picture and enlarge it, Photoshop's the software to use.
If you want to take a small picture and enlarge it, you need to take a new picture. If you take a picture, then there's ways around it, and we'll get into Photoshop after the midterm, so after about week 8 or so. But mostly you want to start with the size file you want. If you just can't, if it's not a digital image and it's a snapshot, for example, you can scan it super huge, and then you have no problem.
Okay.
So you can scan it and capture as much information as possible. If you have a digital file and you start small and you enlarge it, you're gonna
It's going to become really blurry.
it's gonna become blurry and pixelated. Good morning. Okay, let's head back this way. Let's head back here to computer file formats. This is important, this lecture. What you've come to realize right now is that when you save an InDesign document, a native InDesign document, it saves as INDD. So if I double click the work folder and I come into the artwork and resources folder, I view this in terms of columns. INDD is the suffix that ends an InDesign document. It tells your computer, if I double click on this, it tells the computer to launch the InDesign application. If you don't have the InDesign application on this computer, on a computer, and you have a file saved as INDD, it won't be able to open it. It'll ask you for that application, or what do you want to open it in? And you can't open InDesign in a different software application. Understanding why you would save a document with a specific suffix is really important. So for example, here's a Photoshop document, and if we look in the links folder for the markup, the markup assignment, where there's the purses and all that kind of thing. Notice that all of the file formats for all the graphics, all the photographs or images, are saved as PSD. That's the native file format for Photoshop. .psd means it's a Photoshop document. If I double click on this, like that, it's going to launch it on an Apple Macintosh computer, often in preview. Because preview is the default on this computer. Might not be the same thing, won't be the same thing on a Word document, on a Windows computer. So if I want to open this, I would have to select the software to open it in by clicking my control button to open with, and then I would open with Photoshop, because I always want to open with the native application. So that's one way to open it. Or I can launch Photoshop itself, and Photoshop application right there. Or I can launch Photoshop itself and go File Open, and it'll open a native Photoshop document. Now, native file format means that, particularly in Photoshop, a native file format means that you have maintained every pixel in the image, because photos in Photoshop are created through pixels, these little bits of information. You can see the tones. It maintained the integrity of the entire file. Let me come back to the InDesign document. Let me come back to my lecture. So native file formats will help launch the application and helps your computer identify exactly what software was used to create it. So you understand InDesign, INDD. You understand a native Photoshop document is PSD. You also understand that AI is Illustrator. You can save Illustrator files and you can save Photoshop files in what's called a non-native format, because there was software prior to InDesign called Quark. Anybody ever heard of Quark? Just one person? Westerly, 2 people. Quark was a page layout program that had captured the entire graphic design market. They were the only one that people used. There was something called PageMaker, which was, kind of not used as frequently, but the graphic design standard was Quark. And then what happened was Adobe wanted all of their softwares, Photoshop, Illustrator, Photoshop, Illustrator, and their page layout program to be seamless, so they developed InDesign. And in order to get the graphic design industry that all worked in Quark, in order to get them to switch over, they offered InDesign, which had more fun bells and whistles and tools, for like $100 professionally. Here, pay $100, download the software. It's going to take all of your Quark files, convert all your Quark files for you, no problem, into InDesign, and then you can work in InDesign and Illustrator and Photoshop seamlessly. And now, I don't know anybody who works in Quark anymore. Quark was so cocky about it. They said, oh, we don't need to upgrade our software. We don't need to get in step with Adobe or InDesign. Everybody uses us, and they lost their entire market share. Could you imagine? Just blew them out of the water. That was of Quark, you mean? It was Quark 4. Quark 4. Oh, up until 03? Maybe. I can't remember. I'm bad with years. And up until 2003, you're thinking. Anyway, so Quark lost its market share. But the reason why you would, for example, need to save your file formats in non-native is because If you wanted to place an Adobe Illustrator file in Quark, it wouldn't accept it. If you wanted to place a native Photoshop file in Quark, the other page layout program, it couldn't see it. It wouldn't accept it. So you would have to save a Photoshop document as a TIFF, which stands for Tagged Image File Format. Or you might have to save your Illustrator file as an EPS file, which stands for Encapsulated Postscript. Because Quark would not be able to see a Photoshop document, would not be able to see an Illustrator document. So InDesign can accept, you can place a Photoshop or an Illustrator document in InDesign. Actually, InDesign's too wonderful. Even lets you place an InDesign document in InDesign, which is way too complicated. That's like painting a picture of taking a photo of yourself in the mirror and then having all those generations of your photo in a mirror, in a mirror, in a mirror. You'll follow that analogy. And I think it creates problems, so I don't recommend it, but they let you. But you also can place a TIFF file, and you can also place an EPS file in InDesign as well. And TIFF file does not lose the integrity of the file. It's a photograph or an image that maintains every pixel of information. If you wanted to make that file smaller, you would have to compress it. Is there anybody who doesn't know what I mean by compress? Okay, so compressing a file means that you're taking the information and you're trying to, instead of pixel by pixel, capture the information like a TIFF or PSD would, you will compress it into an image called a JPEG. A JPEG image takes your information, finds, for example, let's go back and open the last document we opened recently, like this one. So if we were to save this document as a PSD, it would save every one of those pixels we looked at. But if we were to save it as a JPEG, it would take all of these pixels that are clearly identical in color information, and it would take that amount of information. It would say that area over there is that, and it would say this area down here is those blacks, and it would compress the information so the net result is the file is saved smaller. So if we save this document right now in Photoshop, so here's our image size. Our image size is just under a megabyte, 9K. If we save this file, I'm going to put it on my desktop, save as, and instead of saving it as a native document, we save it as a JPEG, and I put it on my desktop. We already know it's a 900K document, and I save it as large as I can as a JPEG. And then we go to the desktop. Let me close the document. And then we click on the desktop here. It's located. And we locate the document here, and I hit Command I for Get Information. We'll notice that it compressed it a little bit more here. Not much. It was pretty minimal to start with. But as a compressed document, that's what it saved it as instead of, what was it? It hardly made a difference, but this isn't a very good example, sorry. But you get the idea. It compressed the information. So let me come back to our lectures, file formats. John, is a GIF file compressed? It is also.
No, I don't believe it is compressed.
All right. Well, a GIF file is a smaller resolution file for the web.
It has less capability, but then it has the transparent background.
Yes, it has the transparent background, but I will confuse you with that right now, which means that if you don't want the background to look white and you place something on an orange background on the web, let's say your background of your website is orange and you want just the shape of a glass, let's say, without it being in the square, you would need to save it as a GIF file, which is a graphical interface file.
It has a tiny, tiny color palette of 256 colors.
Right, where a JPEG has
Millions.
millions. There you go. Now, one of the things we're talking about, a compressed file and not a compressed file, is this term lossy and lossless. Who's that new information for? I would think most of you. Yes? Okay. So a lossless file where you lose nothing, right? Lossless, would be a Photoshop document or an InDesign document. They're native documents. They're not compressed. Every bit of information is saved. Same thing with a TIFF file. Same thing with an EPS. If you choose a file format like a JPEG, you lose information every time it compresses. Every time you take your information, here it is, big and full and wonderful, and then you compress it, you lose a little bit of information. Then you open it again, make some changes, compress it again, you've lost a little more information. You open it again, close it and save it and compress it again, you've now lost 3 generations of information. And so that is a lossy file. It means you're losing a little bit of image quality every time that you save and compress your image again. There's something called an LZW compression, which you might see in a dialog box. And when this is a file that when it's compressed doesn't lose information. And these are file formats right here that are designed purposefully for the web, but are not acceptable qualities for offset printing. Remember at the beginning of the semester we talked about the fact that when you, we're going to focus a lot on getting something created for print, offset printing. So that would be like creating a book, primarily something, or a poster, something that would be offset printed at high quality. These files, a JPEG and a GIF, they are not designed for offset printing because they keep compressing your information and don't hold the integrity of the file. Okay, everybody get that? What's clicking? Is that your phone clicks? Oh.
Clearly the term
Oh, all right. File formats for printing, again, back to a TIFF file, tagged image file format, and an EPS file, encapsulated PostScript. When you're working in Adobe software, almost everything you're working in is PostScript. That's an Adobe page description language. That's all you need to know. If it's PostScript, it's great. If it's a PostScript font, it's great. If it's a printer that can print PostScript language, it's great. In order to print that, you need to have RAM. Who doesn't know what RAM is? RAM is random access memory. So when you have a computer, it has a hard drive, which has storage memory, like a file cabinet, and it has a brain that keeps working, like our brains, and that's your random access memory. The more random access memory, the more that brain can work and multitask and do many things. Okay? Does that help you? So in order to print something that's PostScript, you need RAM. You need to be able to process that PostScript information. So you need a printer. All your Epson printers, all your little inkjet printers at home that are free or cost $30 or something, they don't have RAM. They use your computer's memory. These printers here, which can print PostScript files like InDesign documents in Illustrator and Photoshop, they have RAM in them, so they can interpolate, they can work with the PostScript software that Adobe uses to create images and graphics and text. And those printers, those monster printers, have RAM in them. Is that clear for everybody? Did I explain that clearly? Okay. Then there are more file formats, and the reason why I keep going over these file formats for you, if you see dot something, you want to know what the heck it is, right? All right. Dot PDF stands for, here's a typo, portable document format, PDF, which will compress your graphics, it'll compress your text, and it will embed it in that single document, so whether you have any software at all, you can download Acrobat Reader for free off the web, and you can open a PDF document anywhere in the world in any language. Yeah? Pretty cool. Which is why you upload all of your assignments as a PDF. I don't need to have your fonts and I don't need to have your graphics to see what you've created because you've embedded it in your PDF file. So that's an important question, actually, that comes up throughout the semester. Why do you transmit files that are PDF files? And so I just gave you the answer. So, Sean, did you hear the answer? Is it Sean? Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Trevor?
Trevor, sorry.
Yeah.
Were you awake for that one? Yeah. Okay, so why would I submit a PDF file then?
So you don't need the links in the files.
Exactly. Absolutely dead on target. Exactly. It embeds everything in the document. Okay, now this is important to know. A picked file. Let me tell you about a picked file. When I open an InDesign document, like, see what I get. Let me open an InDesign document here. This one. Okay, so this InDesign document has a picture of that cheesecake you've already seen, right? This is not really the graphic itself. This is merely, if I click on the links folder, a link to the cheesecake TIFF file. Notice it's a TIFF file because InDesign can see a TIFF file. This is called a picked, P-I-C-T, like picture, display of this document. If I don't have this link, my computer will still show this picture of the cheesecake photo, but it won't print well because it won't have all of that digital information that's found in this TIFF image. It will just give us a low resolution memory or snapshot of this photograph, but it won't print properly, which is why when you create InDesign documents, it's essential to have all your links active. So this is a picked preview. So if we come back here to the lecture, a picked is short for picture, and it's a low resolution preview. And this is not ever something that you would print from. A PNG file is something, it's a compressed file format for the web. It also would not be used for printing, but is absolutely used in web design and web graphics. Also, if you're taking a screen capture, if you've ever done that before, document what's on your computer screen, most likely it's going to save it as a PNG, a portable network graphic. A DCS file, I would bet that none of you will ever come across this. But the reason it's in this lecture is because you might end up getting hired by a client in the future who says, we have such a huge catalog that we've had for 20 years with all the photos, and some were scans, some were digital, and some aren't digital. Some are DCS files, which are old scans that they used to scan one color of the image at a time and then put all those 4 colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, into one file folder to create that one single image. So they were called DCS files, which were desktop color separations. And they were designed, as it says here, to create process color, CMYK files, for Quark. And you might come across them because they might be placed in a document that's an old document that you might have inherited. So knowing what they exist as is useful. WMF, being an Apple person, I never come across it, which stands for Windows Meta File. Does that mean anything to you, John?
It's a Windows file.
Okay, there you go. All right, so Windows Meta File. I never come across it. It's a vector, it says here, it's a vector file format for a PC. And lastly, a BMF file, which stands for what, John?
Bitmap something?
Bitmap format?
Probably.
Bitmap format. I always see bitmap as BMP for bitmap.
Right. That's a bitmap file.
And that's a bitmap file. And I never come across this either. So the reason why it's important to know these is you will mostly be working with InDesign, right? Let's come back up here. You're going to work with InDesign documents, placing Illustrator AI files into it or Photoshop PSD files into it. You may also place TIFF files or EPS files into your InDesign document for printing. Everything else would be considered used for web design or digital displays. Yeah, John?
If you come across a file format that you don't recognize, just Google it, and you'll get a dissertation on it, including the guy who invented it.
Right. Google the heck out of everything is my mantra. Okay, so much for file formats. And I'm going to save Printing Technologies, which is a pretty big lecture. I'll show you a little preview. Has lots of videos, and I get all crazy and excited about it because it's about offset printing and so forth. But I think I would rather give you this next half hour just to finish more in-class work. Does that work for you guys? Any questions about anything we talked about regarding file formats or computer software, computer applications? Okay, then let me release your screens and you can get back to work. Make sure that you always package your files. Does anybody need demonstration on file packaging? Again? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, I shouldn't have released your screen so fast. Okay, I'm coming back to you. Just 1 minute more. The reason you package, who listened to the lecture and can help me explain the reason why you will package something?
Because if we don't package it, you won't accept it.
No?
Um,
That's not it?
Can't create a PDF, right, if the links aren't linked to the actual InDesign page layout. If you transfer it, you might not get the fonts.
Okay. All right, so we got two really excellent answers here. The reason you will choose to package an InDesign document, right here. Let's pick this fine woodworking. Let's see what we got here. Man, I don't have good choices to show you. Here we go. No. No. All right. Let me create an InDesign document for you. All right. So the reason you package a file in InDesign is because when you place a graphic in InDesign, if you have a picked display and not an active link to it, it will not print well. If you don't package something and you use a font in it and you don't bring the font with you to a new computer and load it on the new computer, your font won't display well. So you package to create a folder that contains your native InDesign document, your graphics, and your fonts all in one folder. You need to take the entire package folder wherever you go to whatever computer you're going to work on that document with. So today, for example, if you worked on that markup assignment, let's see if it shows up here. Yeah, John.
A lot of people got zeros on the Anna's assignment, or they haven't started it yet. If they go to the blog, there's a package of that file with a finished representation of it that you can use to compare to your work. And it'll show you why you want a package, because everything is in that package that you need.
Right.
It's a zip file.
Right. So this assignment, I think, is what John's talking about, the Anna's assignment. And all these graphics, right here, you're looking at 7 graphics. You're looking at all these photographs, which makes 6, and this logo down here, which might be an Illustrator file. And you need to take all those links with you. When I open these documents, you know how the fonts are missing? That's because my fonts aren't loaded that were used in the document. All of those things need to connect to that InDesign document. So, when you create a document like this and you take a graphic box and you go to File Place, which you will be doing, and you locate, we're going to work on this a different day, but if you locate the PSD file, the Photoshop document, and you place it in your graphic box, you notice I now had a link pop up right here which shows me the teacup. If I place another teacup image right here, which is actually what the assignment requires, notice it shows me there's 2 links to that same graphic. Let me show you what happens if I don't have my link active. If I, for example, go to this folder and I remove my link, so I move it. I'm not even trashing it. I'm moving it out of this folder. Notice what happens to my document. I have missing links, which means if I print this, I'm going to have a low resolution preview of what that teacup looks like, but not the graphic image itself, and it won't print well. It'll look like something you've stolen off the web and tried to print that's all chunky and unattractive. Okay, so you package in order to embed all of these, not embed. You package in order to move all of these files into a links folder for you. So right now, if I save my document right here, let me just call it TORF, and I'm going to put it on the desktop. I now have a graphic in it, and let me, the teacup graphic, and let me pick an odd font so we can find a good name to look at for it. Pick that. Here's Palatino, that's fine. And I'm saving my document. So I have a Palatino font and I have graphics. Now if I package my document, it's going to grab my links. It's going to make sure I have no missing links. Oh, it says I do, but I have 2 missing fonts, and that's this one that shows up in pink, and the other one, probably this one down here. I have 2 missing fonts, so I would have to go back and fix it. I'd have to go back and fix my fonts. And then I would also want to make sure that I have no links modified and no links missing. So let me not worry about the fonts for the moment, because I want you to see the Palatino carried over and the teacup. And I package it. You can ignore instructions unless you want to place them there. I'm going to put my folder on the desktop. I'm not going to steal the fonts. I'm going to use them professionally. And now if we take a look here, close this up too. So many windows open. Okay, so here's this TORF folder, which was the package I just made. Notice it didn't delete that original TORF document, that InDesign document. What it did is it copied the TORF document and put it in the package, duplicated it. It took my fonts, like the Palatino one I added, and put them in the fonts folder. And it took my teacup graphic and put it there. So when I want to work on this at home, I will take this entire package folder with me. When I want to submit this document to upload, I'll again launch the document in InDesign and find the fonts here, make sure they're linked properly. But we've done that a million times, so I don't want to use all our time. Change all, don't forget to change all. And bold condense, there you go, change all. Done. And then I can export this now as a PDF file, Adobe preset, high quality print. I always keep my PDF files in my package folders, so I know how to locate them. And let me export it. Overset is that box, see that little red symbol? It's because I changed it to the wrong font. So don't ignore it, fix it. Do you want me to show you how to fix it? Okay. How you fix it, this is like some little note, like who took the photos or did the drawings. See? And this might even be locked. It might be. Let me see if there's layers here. Yeah, it's on a locked layer. So now I can open this. One is I can see it just was too big for the box, which showed overflow. So whenever you see this red symbol here, InDesign is going to tell you have overflow. Trust me, how many books end in mid-sentence because some type thing changed and the type got overflowed off the page. So you can always click the overflow button and get this link and create a new text box and see what's missing. Right? Do you follow what I did? But that's what this was about. So let's just leave it like that for this document. And then create a PDF file, high quality print, put my PDF in my package folder, view it after exporting, export it, it'll open in Acrobat Professional and we can see it. Okay? Everybody follow that? And it's the PDF that you upload. So any confusion about why you package? So, okay, so Ravindra, do you know why you package?
To avoid missing links.
Perfect. And do you need your package? If you do a document here in InDesign, if you just took your InDesign home, would you be able to work on it with the correct fonts and the correct links?
If you package it.
Ah, good answer. If you package it, yes, right, absolutely. Okay, anything else? Anybody want to see demoed? Okay, now I'll release you. Yeah, John.
If you're going from Mac to PC, expect trouble.
Yeah, John's right. If you go from Mac to PC, you will have trouble because PCs will generally speaking have different fonts loaded than Macs. Some fonts are called cross-platform fonts. All the ones that come with the InDesign software are called open type fonts, and they are cross-platform, so they will be no trouble.
Some trouble.
Okay, a little bit of trouble maybe.
Yeah. They're easy to change back though.
They're easy to change back, especially if you know that fine font thing. But if you don't have cross-platform fonts or you download some goofy free fonts, they are trouble. They're all trouble, but we'll get into that later. Anything else? Okay, so you got 20 minutes to be able to finish something and upload it to Moodle. My recommendation to you also is upload stuff to Moodle if you're worried about missing a deadline. Upload where you're at. You know, if you think you're going to squeak on in, and better to get half of them uploaded than 0 uploaded.